Assalamu alaikum, ladies. Peace be upon you. I'm so happy you're here. This is your space to unleash your inner Noor and step fully into your light. Bismillah. So, today's topic, I wanted to speak about being present. I feel like honestly, improving your ability to remain present and be grounded in the present moment sets the tone for all other inner work that you do in your life, in your healing journey, in your spiritual journey, your religious journey. No matter what journey you're embarking on, you have to have an underlying ability to be present. Now, what does being present actually look like? Being present is being able to quiet your mind. It's being able to pay attention, to focus, to not have your mind jumping from one place to another, to not be so overly anxious or overly worried. Being present means sitting with your thoughts, sitting with yourself, or being present in a group of people or a room full of people without feeling the urge to check your phone. And I'm someone who has ADHD, recently diagnosed ADHD, but I've known I've had it my entire life. So learning to be present has also helped with coping with my ADHD, which is like insane. And one of the most important ways that being present has improved my life is it has allowed me to be able to better focus during my salah. Like, subhanallah. So being present, honestly, is so important when you're working on improving yourself and grounding yourself as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, as just a person, as a believer. Before I get into how I am more of a present person now, I want to talk about some of the ways being present has improved my life and kind of let you see how it was kind of holding me back before. Let me explain. So I used to be that person who would post on their story every day, who was constantly addicted to scrolling. Twitter was a big one for me. If you know me, you know that I used to love being on Twitter before that man bought the app and changed it. Then I left. I had to go. But I used to really love being on Twitter. I would find myself scrolling, and literally hours would go by and I would have accomplished or done nothing but rot my brain with all of the pointless drama on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. It wasn't feeding my soul. I wasn't learning anything. It was literally just loading my mind with junk for no reason at all. I used to also be that person who posted on her story every single day. And I mean every single day. No matter what I was doing, instead of being in the present moment and enjoying myself and focusing on the people who were around me and what I was doing, like, yeah, there would be moments that I would like, oh, I'm having so much fun, but I was so caught up in having to like catch it on my phone and like literally just like, and like posting updates and things like that throughout my story. So I was someone who always had that glowing ring around my profile picture because I was always posting. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with posting on your story, by the way. It's just a fun tool. I love a cute little interactive story. I love an aesthetically pleasing story. So don't get me wrong. I do enjoy these things, and I'm not saying you can't do these things. But what I want to specifically point out is the fact that I was not present in the moment because I was so caught up in let me share this with everyone else. And a lot of times we're not sharing our stories because we're like thinking, let me be annoying right now and just post a bunch of crap. You know, we're thinking, I'm enjoying this moment so much that I want to share with other people. Like, I want to show them what I'm doing. By doing that, we take ourselves out of the present moment. Instead of thinking about the people that are around us in that moment in time, we're thinking about the other people who are going to see this and interact with this and what they're going to say when they respond to our story and how they're going to feel when they see what we're doing. I used to be that person. That was my thought process. And maybe that's not your thought process, but a lot of times that is our thought process. I was always like, okay, this is so much fun. This is so cool. I want to share it with others and I can't wait for them to see and then comment and then we discuss it. And it comes from a place of excitement, right? But we want to be careful of taking ourselves out of the present moment. So I remember it was several years ago now, but I posted on my story every single day. There was not a day that I just had private time for myself because I was always sharing and oversharing. And I will have a whole completely other video about oversharing and how we should, as women, actually be a little bit mysterious. We should not give everything about our lives away or everything that we're doing away, whether that's to strangers or even to acquaintances. There should only be a small number of people, a small select number of people that you love and care about and who actually love and care about you too and actually care about your well-being, that you're sharing every moment of your life with, or not even every moment, but the majority of your life with. Other random people who may or may not truly care about you, your well-being, and what you have going on, they don't deserve that unlimited access to your life. That's an entirely different video though, and I will definitely expand on that. So let me know if you would like to hear more about that specifically. But back to the topic, it was also very difficult for me to focus in my salah. A couple years ago, I remember because I was not present, I had a really hard time building that khushu' in my prayer. And I'm not someone who's always been perfectly on top of my prayers. Like, I struggle like anyone else. I've just found ways around that struggle. Like, I found ways to make it easier for me, which could be another video as well if you're interested in hearing that. And part of it was working with a muslimah coach, a Muslim woman coach, and the way she reframed salah and helped me reframe salah to like get on top of it. I don't want to use my ADHD as an excuse, but for us neurodivergent girlies, it can be challenging. So I get it. I get it. Being present and learning how to just enjoy the moment improved every single aspect of my life. Islamically, my relationships, my work ethic, my ability to focus in doing literally anything. And that's really what I want to talk about in this video. How being present can improve your life overall, why it is the foundation of all your inner work is to learn to be grounded in the present moment. Ways to actually enjoy being present and actually look forward to it, because when you first try grounding yourself in the present moment, it's going to feel so unnatural. We live in an age now where you are literally bombarded with dopamine everywhere you look. It's like dopamine overload, sensory overload, because you wake up in the morning and what do we usually do? And I'm guilty of this as well. The first thing we do is check our phones and we start scrolling. Before you even wipe the crust off your eyes, before you even like get up and wash your face, you're checking your phone, you're checking social media, you're checking those apps, and it's giving you a dopamine hit. We don't know how to just sit with ourselves anymore. And that's sad because that's something that is so healing and so like being able to sit with yourself is so empowering, being able to enjoy your own company and your own thoughts. And a lot of times, one reason why we don't like sitting with ourselves and sitting with our thoughts is because we have a lot of limiting beliefs or a lot of self-deprecating beliefs, which you can also overcome in a couple of my other videos that I will be sharing. If you have anxiety or you just have low self-esteem or you're insecure, your thoughts tend to run in a very scary direction if you aren't distracting yourself. So you can definitely heal your thoughts. You can definitely heal those limiting beliefs. So I am proof that you can heal anxiety. I had very bad anxiety and it's pretty much gone. If I do feel a little bit of anxiousness, I'm able to bring myself back to the present moment, relax, chill, and go on about my life. Like it's not as debilitating as it used to be. It's not debilitating at all anymore, actually. So you only stand to gain good things from existing in the present moment. Being present and more grounded changed my life, and it can change yours too. I guarantee you it will. It's not that it can change your life, it will change your life. So here's what started to happen. I was someone who was very anxious. Going out, sometimes the thought on my mind would be, how am I being perceived by other people? I was never someone who cared too deeply about what other people thought of me. I feel like growing up as a hijab wearing Muslim woman and also being surrounded by other hijab wearing Muslim women, I just really didn't care that much about what other people thought about me. I was always someone who just kind of thought, I'm here. But I was very afraid to take up space in And when I say take up space, I mean I was a people pleaser. And I overthought, if I'm right here, am I going to be in someone's way? If I sit here, is someone else going to want to sit here and I'm like blocking them from sitting here? Those are the type of thoughts that used to cycle through my mind. Learning to be present set the tone for me to be able to heal my people pleasing tendencies, which are practically extinct right now. People pleasing Zaina is gone. I don't know her anymore. I'm going to tell you exactly how it changed my life. I've been into photography since I was 12. I've always had like an eye for beauty. I would admire the shadows in the streets, or I would admire a pretty flower. I was always taking pictures of flowers and sunsets. That was what I primarily did all throughout my teens. I would just go for a walk with my camera and take a bunch of pictures of different plants, of animals, of trees, and I always enjoyed nature. As I got older and started to have more of a social media presence, especially during college, I kind of just stopped admiring the little things around me. Like I would occasionally, but I would be so caught up on my phone, on what someone else is doing. Because that's another thing about social media, is that not only does it take you out of the present moment and takes you out of what you're doing, but it also makes you overly curious about what someone else is doing. Now, it's okay to keep up with the people you love and the people you care about and even people you may admire, but social media has this it has this very sneaky way of getting people to compare their lives with others. And I think that's where the danger lies in social media, is that it really does breed comparison. You start to subconsciously, without even doing it intentionally or on purpose, even if you are a confident person, you just start to subconsciously compare your life to the lives that you see online. And that is a very dangerous thing to do. Like the Prophet ﷺ said, do not compare yourself to people who have more than you. Compare yourself to people who have less than. I would even say compare yourself to a previous version of you. That's the only comparing that you will ever find me doing, is comparing myself to a previous version of myself. I might look to people for inspiration, but I will never look at someone and be like, dang, I wish I had your eyes, or I wish I looked like you, or I wish I had that life. My life sucks in comparison. Or, astaghfirullah. We want to make sure that we're being grateful. You definitely want to be grateful and express gratitude. Being present has all but stopped my overthinking. It has brought me back to being grounded on this earth. It has inspired me to be grateful for what I have and where I'm at. Honestly, we are all so blessed. Alhamdulillah. Like, you cannot deny the blessings that Allah has already. The fact that you can breathe right now is a blessing. So you can't deny the blessings that Allah has already bestowed upon you. There's a YouTube video I listen to several mornings a week that it's just thank you. It's like an hour-long video that's just saying thank you, and I'll have it playing while I'm getting ready in the morning, and I'll have it loud so my son is also listening to it, and it's just a speaker saying thank you for my eyes, thank you for my nose, thank you for my back, thank you for my income, thank you for residual income, thank you for my cells, thank you for my healthy intestine. Like, it's a bunch of different thank yous. Thank you for my friends, thank you for the air that I breathe. It's first of all, it's a great way to start your morning. If you're not someone who's into like a gratitude journal, you're probably not going to be journaling or something. It's great to just also hear the thank you and remind yourself, because reminders benefit the believers. It's a great way to just remind yourself of what you have in your life to be thankful for, because I'm sure if any one of us search, no matter how much money we have or how little we have or where we're living, how big or small our home is, I'm sure we could find one thing to complain about. Like, there will always be something that you could complain about, but why focus on that when Allah has blessed you with eyesight? When Allah has blessed you with a roof over your heads? Like, we're literally watching a genocide right before our eyes, subhanAllah. Please remember the Muslims who are suffering all around the world throughout your day, and remember to make dua. Remember to support, donate, and just do whatever you can to help those around the world who are suffering and who are literally being unalived in front of our eyes. It's absolutely devastating. When you look at those who are struggling and the fact that they're able to maintain such strong faith and that they're so thankful to Allah despite literally losing their loved ones, despite literally losing their homes, their land, the struggles that they're facing every day, they find ways to be grateful. And we can't be grateful. We are stuck in our lack mindset about our lives that are so good in comparison. I think honestly that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, compare yourself to people who have less than you, not more, because you're always going to be able to find something to be ungrateful about. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that anymore. We want to become our best selves. We want to glow from within. We want to shine and unleash our inner nur, our inner light, and step into our most authentic versions of ourselves. And we can't do that if we're constantly complaining about our lives or constantly feeling lack or, dissatisfaction with our lives when Allah has blessed us with so much. So being present has literally forced me in situations where I start to wallow about my life because I could find something to complain about. I've been through so much throughout my life that I could literally complain about everything if I wanted to, and I refuse. I refuse to do that because I know that it could have been so much worse, but not even just that. I am grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be a mother. I'm grateful to be with my son. And I'm grateful to have, I'm grateful to have my own place. I'm grateful to just have an income. It could be so much worse, Especially someone like me who literally came from poverty. I grew up in poverty, like actual poverty, not cosplaying poverty. I mean homelessness, not knowing where you're going to get your next meal. That kind of poverty is where I came from. So what I look like complaining about my life now, not going to happen. Mashallah, whenever I start to feel that lack inside, because we are human. I'm not trying to shame anyone. Do not feel shame about it. We're going to occasionally fall into the very human nature of comparing yourself and feeling like, dang, I could be doing better, or I could have more, or I could blah, blah, blah. But you just have to remember to ground yourself. That's where being present comes in. Being present reminds you and allows you to literally ground yourself, stop your thoughts from running amok, and tell yourself, actually, I'm okay. I'm okay. I've always been okay, and I will always be okay. And then you just go about your life. That saying is what I say to get myself back to reality, to remind myself that Allah has always had my back and He will always continue to have my back and He will always continue to have your back, okay? He got all of us, okay? Allah loves us. We come to Him walking and He comes to us running. That's how much Allah loves us. And I heard a sheikh speak about this the other day. He said the same way that a mother views their child, like the way that a mother views their child, like if their child were to run away or something, and the longing that a mother would have for her child coming back, Allah feels that for every single one of His believers times 10. He wants us to come to Him. He wants us to come back to Him. Being present has reminded me to be grateful for the things in my life. And honestly, because I'm grateful, I feel like little mini blessings and miracles happen in my life all the time. And I really do think it's because of gratitude, because even when something that we may in this moment perceive as bad happens to me, I remind myself Allah actually has a greater plan for me. I stop, I ground myself, and I literally think to myself, this is actually not bad. Allah has a better plan for me. I'll just give a small story about something that happened the other day. I went to this event. All of the parking was taken up. People were parking on the street. Parking was crazy. It was a mess. I'm driving around looking for a parking spot. My son in the back seat. I finally find a spot. And as I'm turning to get into the spot, this other car comes and swerves into the spot that I found. And of course, I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just drove around looking for a spot and you're going to take my spot. So I was naturally just very upset, but I reminded myself, actually, no, even though this feels bad in the moment, this is actually good. Like Allah has a reason for that happening to you. I literally talk to myself in the moment about these things to bring myself back to reality, ground myself in the present moment and say, no, you're good. They took that spot, but you're good. Just keep going. Like, you know, not even that much longer after that, maybe like 5 minutes after that, I find an even closer spot to where I'm trying to get to. And I was like, there it is. That's the reason Allah had someone swerve and take that spot from me, because there was an even closer spot, a better spot available for me at the front. And Allah was like, I got something for you. Okay. So that's just a small example. I have so many more examples of situations like this in my life on a larger and smaller scale. But it's important for us to remember when something happens that we don't like, that ultimately having tawakkul and having strong faith that actually things are going to work out for you. It's just going to happen on Allah's timing and Allah's plan. It is so grounding because it just reminds you that you have nothing to be upset about. You have nothing to worry about. And it allows you to be fully present without all the noise in your head. Like if I had allowed myself to just sit there in my anger at the person taking my spot, I would have let their, like what they did was rude, point blank, period. But when someone is being rude, mean, or nasty towards you, and then you respond with rude, meanness, or nastiness, their rudeness is kind of like a virus, and you have allowed that virus to seep into you and infect you, and now you are also infected. And then you may go and yell at your kid after that, and then your kid is also infected, or like you may yell at, and it's a never-ending cycle. So you break the cycle by being like, no, I'm not going to let your poison infect me. I'm not going to let what you say affect me, and keep going. Now, in larger scale situations, let's say you might have gone through a divorce. You may have lost a friend. You may have dealt with not getting the job you asked for. You may have, like, it could have been any number of things that you dealt with in that moment. You may not always know what Allah's plan is in the moment. Like, it may not be as quick. Like, I was able to find another parking space in a matter of 5 minutes. It may not be as quick for you. It could be a couple years. It could be a year. It could be a couple days. It could be a couple months. It could be right then and there. Like, honestly, we have to be okay with Allah's timing too. That is part of that. So being present has truthfully changed my life in the most profound ways. I'm just going to give you a few tips to hopefully help you stay grounded and stay present. I already talked about tawakkul basically, but that was going to be my number one tip, to stay present and stay focused, because when you are present, you are focused. That's essentially what you are. You're focused, you're open-minded, you're open to the possibilities, and you're in the present moment. You're allowing yourself to be there with yourself or with your loved ones, whoever you're with at the time. You're allowing yourself to just be. And we don't often allow ourselves to just be, especially as women, because we're doing a million things at once usually. I have so many different roles. As a woman, and it can be extremely exhausting. And this is why I feel like for women, it is even more important to learn to be grounded and sit with yourself and your feminine energy and your feminine essence. That's when you really start to grow and thrive. So some ways that I maintain my presence and my groundedness, because again, I'm human. I go through periods where I'm angry. I go through periods where I'm irritated. I go through periods, especially when I'm driving, because yeah, you can use driving as a form of inner work, which I have been doing for years, because some people just can't drive. One way, as a mom, as a woman, and as someone with ADHD, that I've been able to become more comfortable with being present is I started meditating. A couple years ago, I started to meditate regularly. There are a lot of misconceptions about meditation. What you may imagine meditation to be, which is like a monk sitting on a mountaintop, folding his arms like this and crossing his legs and going om or something. I don't know. When people say meditation, it doesn't even have to be something spiritual. Meditation is just an umbrella term that I use to talk about like sitting with your thoughts, sitting with yourself, and intentionally grounding yourself for a set period of time and focusing on nothing but your thoughts. Now, this might sound like a nightmare for someone who is dealing with the addiction of scrolling, or unable to occupy their mind without having some type of digital something, or like multitasking. I know because I was there. I meditate pretty much every single day, either in the morning or at night. My favorite time to meditate is right after Fajr, but sometimes I meditate to sleep when I'm laying in my bed and I have a couple minutes before I fall asleep to meditate. Oftentimes that's when I'm meditating because I do a lot and that's the time that I have. But when I do make time to actually like get up, pray Fajr, and then meditate, oh my gosh, it's like a whole different experience, you know? How I meditate is I just sit with my thoughts. I may imagine a scenario, like I might imagine a scenario of something that I want to play out in my life, or I may just sit there and like breathe. I start with breathing exercises because that's proven to calm you down, to bring you down, to make you more like it scientifically does something to you when you take deep breaths. And so I always start with deep breaths, and then I just go into my mind palace. I start to envision different things. I start to sometimes just sit with my thoughts. If things are really stressful as far as my work, I will literally sit there, take a moment, even if I have to go to my car because that's the only place that I can get peace and quiet. I will take a moment. I will ground myself. I might close my eyes. I might just put my sunglasses on and I will breathe. I'll do my breathing. I will focus on my thoughts. Let's just say it's a belief that I want to get rid of that's causing me a lot of anxiety. I will sit and I will focus on that. I will not try to push the feeling away because you have to feel to heal. You have to feel your emotions. Suppressing your emotions will physically make you sick. So you cannot suppress your emotions. You have to allow yourself to feel them. We are humans. We get upset sometimes. Allow yourself to feel upset, but don't dwell and ruminate on that, and then let it go. Let it go. Embrace the emotion and then let it go. And so that's what I'll do. I'll focus on that negative emotion that I don't want to feel, and I will let myself feel it as I'm breathing through it, and then I will release it. I'll let it go. And sometimes I'll have to do that a couple times. If it's something that really, really hurt, I may have to do that a couple times over a couple weeks. But each time, it affects me a little less. Like each time, the amount of time that emotion was clouding me and making me feel down becomes a little less. So for small incidences, I can easily, like that incident where someone stole my parking spot, I can easily just and let it go. But for larger instances, let's say like a major betrayal, that may take a couple months to a year of doing that. But over time, you find that the amount of times that it affects you is fewer in frequency, and that when it does affect you, it doesn't affect you as long anymore until one day you wake up and it doesn't affect you at all anymore. So meditation has really helped with that. It has helped me with forgiving someone who betrayed me in a very hurtful way. I would just get into my breathing, get into my meditation, and imagine them as their child self. Because a lot of times hurt people. And when you understand that, it doesn't excuse what they did to you. It doesn't excuse their behavior. But it does make it a little bit easier to sympathize or even like understand where they came from, and to understand that what they did to you was not about you. It was about them and their own lack and their own brokenness. And it's easier to get over things. And why I think it's important to forgive. When you forgive, you're not doing it for the other person. That's a common misconception. You're not forgiving for them. You can forgive someone and never even tell them. They don't ever have to know that you forgave them. That's the way that I did it. I didn't tell the person that I forgave them. I embarked on the journey of forgiveness because what they did to me made me harp so strongly on it and ruminate so strongly that it was making me sick. It was making me anxious. It was making me angry. It was making me livid. And when you're feeling that way constantly and you're in that emotional state, the other person is not being affected. Like, especially if they're not in your life anymore, they're going on living their life. You're the only one who's affected by that emotion day in and day out of that bitterness, that anger, that resentment. And a lot of times it is earned. But if you want to work on healing your life and starting to become your most authentic version of yourself, you have to let that go. You cannot carry that weight with you to where you're going, because where you're going is at a higher space. You're going to a higher vibrational frequency. So you cannot carry that weight with you from your past identity. You have to let it go. So I started meditating to get comfortable with the idea of forgiving the person who had betrayed me. And that was very difficult. But after some time, it probably took like a couple months for me, like 3 months. Interacting with that person became so much easier. I started to forgive them. I never even told them. I didn't tell them this is what I was doing at the time. But our interactions became easier. I felt lighter. I felt better. It wasn't for them. It was for me. It was so that my thoughts were no longer making me sick. My feelings were no longer making me sick. Like I said before, becoming grounded in the present moment really helped with my salah and my prayer journey. When you learn to focus your mind for a period of time, which you do in meditation, you have to challenge yourself, because your body's going to want to get up. Like, you're not going to want to sit there and think and like envision, and like your body is so used to whenever you get even a slight pinch of boredness, you can just pick up your phone and scroll. So it's used to being able to quickly mediate any bit of boredness you feel, which boredness is actually healthy. We should be able to function with some healthy boredom. When you meditate, your brain is going to be doing that. Your brain is going to be trying to get you to exit the meditation, or like exit the staying present and staying in the present moment, because it's so used to just getting quick dopamine hits. You have to retrain yourself, and it's going to be difficult. And if you go a stretch without meditating, like I've done before, where like I usually do it several times a week. I try to do it like every day, at least once a day. But you know, life gets busy. I get busy. I'm a mother. Like, there's a lot of things that are constantly happening in my life. Sometimes I go a while without it. And if I go a really long period of time without it, I can tell the difference. That's crazy. I can tell the difference, and my friends can tell the difference in how I am around them. Because I may just be a little bit more agitated at something that someone did, instead of just being like, oh, whatever. So I may be able to meditate for an hour. And then if I go a month without meditating, I may have to start back at 15-minute increments and like build myself up, because we just get so used to just moving, going. Everything happens so fast in this society too. We have to learn to just slow down. That's another thing about being present, is it has taught me to be okay with slowing down, not having to drive as fast as you can to get to the place you want to get to, not having to write as quickly as you can, or, you know, do things as quickly. Like, no, take your time. Like, just take a stroll. If you're walking from the store to your car and the weather is beautiful out, enjoy the stroll to your car. Like, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy your life. That's another thing that being present has brought. It has brought so much enjoyment of the little things, which is so important. If you want to try meditation as a form of getting yourself used to quieting your mind and being present, it's such a great way to practice. It's such a great way to practice. And a lot of people are like, I don't need to do that. It's not that important. And then when they try it, they're just like, I can't believe this is what I've been missing out on my entire life. Like, why didn't anyone tell me? I started 3 years ago, and I've been meditating regularly ever since, and it has literally changed my life. It has changed the quality of my salah. When I do make salah, I feel like it's like practice in being more present in my salah and gain that khushu' in my prayer, which is so important. I'm very much pro meditation, especially if you have ADHD. Even if it's just 10 minutes a day, you can do 10 minutes a day, or start with 5 minutes, or, you know, whatever. If you want to know more about like what I actually do when I meditate, I could probably do a whole video on that too, or just like a little short or something. But yeah, meditation helps a lot. And if meditation is not your thing, just pick one specific daily mindfulness practice that you do, like I said, on a daily basis, that keeps you grounded and keeps you from going off the rails and feeling like, oh my God, you know? It doesn't have to be meditation. It can be journaling. It can be taking a warm bath, whatever that looks like for you. It can look different for different people. For me, it was meditation, and I know meditation was like a huge blessing, but it may look different for you, and that's okay too. Whatever that practice is for you, stick with that. Another tip for remaining grounded and remaining focused is to set clear, meaningful intentions for your growth and for the changes that you're intending to make. And if your intention is to be more conscious, aware, and grounded in your present life, to foster your growth in other areas on your inner work journey, ask Allah for tawfiq. Tawfiq is an Arabic term basically meaning success and divine guidance. Let's say you really want to be on top of your prayers, you really want to get closer to Allah in that aspect. Ask Allah to grant you tawfiq in whatever it is that you're trying to do. And in that case, it would be, being on top of your prayers, and just watch the miracles unfolding your life that literally push you towards praying your 5 daily prayers. The same is true for whatever you want to do in your life, whether that's healing, becoming the best, most authentic version of yourself, working on your inner and outer nur, which means light. You want to ask Allah to grant you tawfiq. And this is one of I think this is like the first dua in my dua list is, oh Allah, grant me tawfiq. And you know what it is that you want to have tawfiq for. So set clear, meaningful intentions for yourself and make sure that you know and that you're telling yourself what those intentions are, so that you subconsciously have an outline, you subconsciously have a goal that you can follow and keep to. And then ask Allah to grant you success. Ask Allah to grant you tawfiq, because Allah can make things happen and move things around that we could never even imagine doing. Allah is the greatest of planners, so Allah can make it happen for you, girl. He can make it happen right now, but of course He's going to make it happen on His timing. So also be patient and willing to wait for that as well. You just want to make sure that your intentions are pure and that your intentions are in line with becoming the best version of yourself, that you're not doing it for the validation of people, that you're not doing it for the wrong reasons, that the reason that you want to grow and improve and become more present and become more grounded and the best version of yourself is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then to feel good and please yourself and to feel good about yourself. And by growing and feeling good about yourself, you then blossom in all of your relationships, whether that's marriage, romantic relationship, whether that is a motherhood relationship, whether that is a sibling relationship, parent, friend, whatever. By improving yourself and being grounded in the present moment, you're going to grow in all of your relationships. Make sure that you are being compassionate towards yourself, that you're giving yourself grace, that you're being forgiving towards yourself, because Allah is forgiving towards you. Allah is the most compassionate, the most forgiving. And I'm reading this book called When Hearing Becomes Listening by Sheikh Mikhail Smith. It's a really great book, so I highly recommend it. In the beginning, it talks about, the attributes of Allah, the 99 names of Allah, and how we as Muslims in studying, a lot of times we want to memorize those names of Allah. We want to call on Allah using His names. We also should be striving to embody those names. We want to be patient. Ya Sabur. We want to be merciful. Ya Rahim. Whenever you're learning the names of Allah, or even if you're not, you want to make sure that you're embodying that as well. Allah is forgiving. Allah is forgiving and Allah is compassionate. And if Allah is forgiving and compassionate, why would you not be forgiving and compassionate towards yourself? Remember that it is human nature to get triggered. It is human nature to get upset. Never try to suppress your emotions or flush out your emotions, because it will literally make you sick. Even as far as I have come along in my healing journey, there will always be more healing to do. I don't mean you'll have to heal through deep emotional trauma. I think healing starts from healing your trauma, healing your limiting beliefs, healing your inner child, and then you reach a baseline. But in that baseline, you may find there are still levels to your inner work. And that's okay. That's natural. You're going to always be growing and improving. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all of the prophets, they never stopped growing and learning. They never stopped growing, and they never became unteachable. You're never going to get to this magical spot where you don't have to do any more learning, growing, or improving yourself. You're always going to have to be working on yourself. So it's going to be a never-ending journey. Think of the most beautiful woman you know, who just never lets anything get to her, who is very unbothered and glows from the outside in. There are days when she gets upset. There are days when she's sad. There are days when she's triggered. She's just learned not to let that trigger get to her for a longer period of time than she has to. She has learned to remain grounded in reality and the present and tell herself, no, I'm not going to let your poison, I'm not going to let your attitude, I'm not going to let what you did to me lower my quality of life. I refuse. I know I refuse. I hope you refuse as well. That's giving someone else way too much power over you. The secret to being unbothered is really just to let go, let things go, allow yourself to feel, and then move on. That's really it. That's really it. And so remember, you are human. You're going to get upset. There's going to be days when someone cuts you off in traffic. There's going to be days when someone says something that you didn't like their attitude or you didn't like what they had to say, because again, everyone is on their own journey. Hurt people hurt people. So you have to remind yourself to stay where you're at, stay grounded in your space, not to let them bring you out of your space. And the more you learn to remain grounded, the more you can build on that inner work to really become unbothered and not let people bring you out of your grounded space. When you are present, you're not worried and confused and hurt and harping over and ruminating over the past, nor are you worried about the future, because you know Allah got you and that you will be fine. You're here and now, and you are ready to receive. You're ready to receive all the information and the blessings and the love that Allah has placed for you on this earth. Because if we really get into it, Allah has so many blessings for you, just waiting for you to reach out and grab them. But you can't reach out and grab them when you are too busy worrying about the future or worried about the past. You can't reach out and grab them when you allow someone to take you out of your character and you are triggered and you are upset and you are in survival mode. So the way to get out of that is to ground yourself and remind yourself that actually, no, I am okay. I am safe. I am healthy. I am okay. I've always been okay. And I will always be okay. Khalas, that's it. That's it. We're just human. And again, things make us upset. What I've done is, instead of looking to because I'm someone who could easily, because of my ADHD, whip out my phone. ADHD deals with dopamine deficiency or an inability to regulate dopamine. So we're constantly looking for ways to get that dopamine that we're lacking or not able to regulate. I could easily be one of those people who are addicted to scrolling. But what is that going to really do for me? Nothing. Short term, it may give me that boost, but long term, it's doing nothing for my character, nothing for my health, my life, my well-being, and nothing for my goal and my purpose of becoming the best version of myself, so that I can be there for the people in my life that I love, and so that I can show up for the women in my community, and ultimately to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not helping. It's not helping. It's not helping at all. So I have retrained my brain to find dopamine from making a healthy meal, to find dopamine from sitting outside and letting the air filter through my lungs, to get a dopamine shot every time I'm sitting in a room full of people that I love and having an engaging conversation, instead of having to pull out my phone to get that dopamine that I lack. I've retrained my conscious mind to not view certain things as a threat, so they don't take me out of reality. But remember that it is human nature to view certain things as a threat, like someone cutting you off, or someone being rude to you, or spilling their poison on you, or taking something from you, or betraying you. Those are very real threats. However, you can retrain your brain not to view them as that serious, because ultimately Allah is in charge here and they're not getting away with anything. And if you would like to read a really great book on this very topic, on how our mammal brains perceive certain situations, why we get dopamine from certain things, why we look for dopamine in certain places, and how our brain processes happy chemicals, and how to retrain and reprogram your subconscious mind to find happy chemicals through healthier avenues, I highly recommend reading the book Habits of a Happy Brain, because it's all about that. It also helps you look at attacking some of your unconscious limiting beliefs that are holding you back, and how to be happy. It's in the title, Habits of a Happy Brain, how to literally train your brain to be a happy brain. Highly, highly recommend it. Listen, in those moments where you feel yourself being pulled out of the present moment, ground yourself, but also have self-compassion. Do not fret or feel like you're going backwards, or feel like you're stagnant, or you're not going the way you're supposed to. No, do not worry about that. In fact, release all of your worries to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they are not your burden to carry. That's probably the most important thing I've learned over the past couple of years, is that the pointlessness of worrying, which I think I will make another video on. Geez, I've got a lot of videos to create, but that's okay, because I'm here for you all and I'm happy to make these videos. Don't ever get into the self-deprecating thoughts of, I'm not doing enough, I'm not healed enough, or I'm moving backwards, because that's never the case. You can never move backwards. Even if you've done a certain amount of inner work and you stop, because I do think self-improvement is a lifelong journey. The Prophet ﷺ never stopped improving and working on himself. We see this with the other prophets as well. They were always teachable. They were never too arrogant to be taught. They were never too arrogant to learn more. So I do think inner work and self-love is a never-ending journey. It's not a difficult journey though. The start of it may be healing your trauma and healing your limiting beliefs, but you get to a baseline where things will knock you off, because that's, you know, life does not come without tests. We're not on this earth without tests from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you're better equipped and better able to handle the test that Allah will inevitably throw your way. You're never moving backwards. You're always at a baseline, and you may have layers to your inner work, and that's okay too. So have self-compassion throughout your self-love journey, because Allah will never abandon you, and Allah will never lose that compassion for you. Allah will never lose his love and forgiveness for you. So why would you ever lose it for yourself? Thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening in. If you'd like to work together one-on-one for coaching on any of the issues that you've heard in this video, or even others, and you just really have that desire to become the best version of yourself and to unleash your inner Noor, the link will be in the description. I'd love to work with you one-on-one, but until then, I will have tons of videos where we're working together, you know, in this format, and I'm really excited for you to stick around. So Insha'Allah, I'll see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.